This is the Sally on Sports. Sports Roundup. Alright, this is your Sally on Sports break to follow up from yesterday's results of the NFL playoffs. How you guys doing? It is Sally here with your sports break, setting up the 2024 wild card round for the end of the NFL season for the 2023 regular season. We're going to do this again during the show at the end of the week, but we figured we would throw this out there now as well. We will take a look back at how we originally predicted the NFL standings to go and get you set up for the playoffs. Yeah, that's right, I said playoffs. For the playoffs in the National Football League. The predictions were actually fairly close in the NFC East. I had the Giants as a 9-win team, that didn't work out. I had the Commanders as a 7-win team, that kind of worked out. I had the Eagles winning the division at 12-5 and the Cowboys getting in as a wild card at 11-6. That was flipped. Dallas won the division at 12-5 and the Eagles got the wild card at 11-6. For the North, Lions got into the playoffs at 11-6, when in reality, what did Detroit end up finishing with? Come on. You hate it when technology doesn't agree with you sometimes. Lions ended up winning the division with a solid record this year. They ended up going... Come on, work with me here. I want to get the final numbers 12-5. So I was off by one game with what Detroit was able to do. Then you had Minnesota getting in as a wild card team, the Packers finishing above 500, and the Bears as a 7-win team. Well, the Bears are getting the number 1 overall pick, thanks to Carolina being a 2-win franchise. More on them in a second. And then you also had, surprisingly, the Green Bay Packers get into the playoffs as a 9-8 team instead of Minnesota. With the South, Panthers won the division at 9-8. Then you had the 8-9 Bucks, 7-10 Saints, 7-10 Falcons. I gave the Carolina Panthers way too much credit. What is wrong with me? The Panthers finished with just 2 wins on the season at 2-15. The Bucks won the division at 9-8, which we talked about yesterday. And then nobody else. And then you had New Orleans finishing at 8-10, or 8-9 rather, and Atlanta finishing at 7-10. West, I think I got it right. Well, no. The West, I had the Seahawks making the playoffs. They missed. Rams got in at 10-7. And the 49ers won the division. AFC East, I got completely wrong. I had the Bills. Well, no. I got this right, at least. I had the Bills winning the division. I had the Dolphins miss the playoffs. Jets get in. I was wrong there. The Jets were a bad team, finishing 7-10. Which is the record I had for the Patriots, and the Patriots were worse than that. But I had the Dolphins missing the playoffs. Jets got in as a wild... and they got in as a wildcard team with the Bills winning the division by a game over them. Bengals won the division, not the case. Ravens wildcard team, that was the case, but the Ravens won the division and had the best record in the AFC this season. Browns finishing with a winning record, Steelers finishing with a winning record. That's basically what happened, except the Bengals missed the playoffs and the Browns and Steelers got in. For the South, the Jags won the division. No, they didn't. Jags missed out on the playoffs. Texans won the division, and the Texans finished way better than the 4-13 record I had them pegged for. And finally, the West, I predicted two teams to come out of there. The wildcard winning Chargers, division winning Kansas City Chiefs, followed by the Broncos and the Raiders, and the only team to come out of that division was Kansas City. So that's the differences between the actual playoffs and the way I predicted them. Now, as far as the actual playoffs are concerned, wildcard weekend is all set. We talked about this a little bit yesterday with who the Bucs were going to get. Well, the Bucs have the Monday night game. It's an 8:15 kickoff on ABC from Ray J, taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. The Lions and Rams are the Sunday night game on NBC at 8:15. Cowboys-Packers at 4:40 on Fox on Sunday. And the Bills and Steelers open us up in Buffalo at 1 o'clock on Sunday. Then you have the Saturday night game, which is Kansas City-Miami. And the Saturday afternoon game at 4:30 on NBC in Peacock between Houston and Cleveland. So the only ways to be able to watch playoff football this weekend: NBC and Peacock for the Houston game, Peacock exclusively for Kansas City, Miami, CBS and Paramount Plus for Buffalo and Pittsburgh, Fox for Dallas, Green Bay, NBC Peacock for Detroit and the Rams, and finally the Monday night game with the Bucs and the Eagles. You have ABC, ESPN, ESPN2, and ESPN Plus covering the game. Now, a quick hit on this before we really dive into it this weekend. What's going to have me intrigued with the Bucs and the Eagles is the Eagles have been playing bad football the last, I'd say, about month of the regular season. And the Bucs have looked very, very sloppy the last 2 weeks with the loss to the Panthers and the win over the Saints. The loss to the Saints and the win over the Carolina Panthers, excuse me. And we talked about that yesterday. Doesn't matter how you get the job done as long as you win. And that's exactly what happened. The Bucs got in, but it depends on what Eagles team shows up against the Bucs and what Bucs team decides to show up. We'll dive into it a little bit more this weekend, but that is how things look for Wild Card Weekend. We got all that and more coming up later on this week here on Sally on Sports. We got more coming up later on the show at the end of the week, so keep your eyes and ears peeled to all forms of social media for everything happening around the sports world. Till then, this has been your Sally on Sports Break.